Welcome to the PCOS Diva podcast. My name is Amy Medling. I'm a certified health coach and founder of PCOS Diva. My mission is to help women with PCOS find the tools and knowledge they need to take control of their PCOS so they can regain their fertility, femininity, health, and happiness. Today's PCOS Diva podcast is sponsored by the 7-day Discover Your PCOS Diva Jumpstart program. Jumpstart is the place to begin when you're ready to commit to yourself and jump into your healing journey. Learn step by step how diet, lifestyle, and mindset changes can get you on the right path. You'll be thrilled to feel your energy return, brain fog lift, acne begin to clear, and so much more. Visit PCOSdiva.com/jumpstart for more information and to get started today. If you haven't already, make sure you check out PCOSdiva.com. There I offer tons of great free information about PCOS and how to develop your PCOS diet and lifestyle plan so you can begin to thrive like a PCOS diva. Look for me on iTunes, Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram as well. Welcome to the PCOS Diva podcast. We are going to be talking about a topic that is really important to move beyond. I talk a lot about moving beyond the pain and struggles of PCOS so that you can live the life you are meant to live without PCOS holding you back. And for so many years, hair growth, hirsutism held me back. And it wasn't until I was able to afford laser hair removal that it really made such a difference in my life. And I've explored some other different hair loss techniques over the years. Let's see, from electrolysis to at-home lasers to waxing and threading. But this hair removal technique that we're going to talk about today is something that is really new to me. And I've tried it out and I'm so impressed with the results that I had to share it with PCOS Divas. So I'm thrilled to welcome Salome Sallehy. She is the founder and president of Sugar Wax, and she is going to share with us today really all the joys of sugar waxing and how it can really help women with PCOS. So welcome, Salome.
Thank you so much for having me, Amy. I'm excited to have this conversation. I know hair is a struggle for so many different people for so many different reasons. And I know from when I was like 10 or 11 years old, looking down at my leg, thinking it's just hair. It can't be this complicated. So I'm excited to be where I am with a solution that's not complicated.
Well, and we've spoken previously on the phone. You gave me a full demo, and since then I've had some time to sort of play with the sugar wax. But you had a really powerful story, and that you shared with me, and I'd love for you to share that story with our listeners.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm Middle Eastern, and Middle Eastern women, we tend to have more hair than most other people. I mean, I shouldn't say that. There's definitely, I've learned through the business that there are certain cultures and ethnicities that tend to have more hair problems than others. But when I was little, I loved swimming. And I remember I was around like 10 or so years old when I started noticing that other people noticing the hair on my legs. And that just made me, feel a lot of shame around the hair. Back then, our culture as a young girl, you don't remove hair so soon. I don't know why that is, but it's a thing. And so I wasn't allowed to shave. And here I was feeling kind of like hairy and it being noticed by my peers. So I actually stopped swimming and I didn't go back to swimming until I was 14 and allowed to shave and do all the things where I can kind of approach the pool with a little bit more confidence.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of what we're getting at is moving beyond that pain of having excess hair where you don't want it, so that you don't have to give up the things that you love to do, and you can really engage in life again. So you had a little story about when you were traveling
Oh, yeah.
and how that led to you discovering sugar wax.
So I have actually tried every method of hair removal. Um, like all the years growing up, I was probably 13 or 14 when I had a professional wax warmer in the bathroom and making messes and not being able to clean them up and shaving and cutting every corner of myself. Like I've tried it all. The hair sandpaper thing, the chemical creams, leaving them on too long and finding that your pores have kind of melted closed. That is
Ugh.
not a good situation. So basically, all my life, I had tried everything and I kind of landed on like a combination of laser and then maintenance with like waxing was what I was doing. And for my face, I would do threading. But I also have this super, super sensitive skin that I actually have a histamine reaction to hair being removed from the follicle. So when I get my face threaded, I would break out in hives. So here we are traveling the world, which was such an exciting time. And we're like 3 months into the trip. I'm like, oh, I need some maintenance here. So I find a salon that does threading, and I go there and I have to warn the lady who's going to thread my face. I'm like, just so you know, I have this crazy reaction and you're going to start seeing hives, but that's normal. And she says to me, well, if you're that sensitive, why aren't you sugaring? And being someone who thought I had tried every method of hair removal, I'm like, what's sugaring? She's like, well, it's kind of like a wax. I'm like, absolutely not. I've tried that. It's ripped my skin off, left a line on my face. I'm not about that. She's like, let me just try it on you. Anyway, that was sort of the beginning of the end because I walked out of that appointment and my husband, who had obviously seen me so many times after getting threaded and looking like I stuck my face in a beehive, was like, what'd you do? Did you get a facial? You left the kids with me for like an hour and a half to get a facial? And I'm like, no, I did this thing called sugaring. He's like, well, I don't know what it is, but I've never seen you glow like this. So that was such a big aha moment for me because I was like, I thought I tried everything. What is this sugar? Why is my skin not reacting to it? I look and feel amazing. And it wasn't like torture. So that was sort of my journey of discovering sugaring.
So, can you explain what sugaring is? I hadn't really heard of it when you all reached out to me, and I was a skeptic because I have waxed before and have had skin ripped off in the process. So I was very hesitant. But explain first of all what it is. Kind of give us a sugar 101.
Absolutely. So, not all sugars are made the same. So, that's really important to know. So, just because it says sugar wax on the label, it doesn't mean it's sugaring wax. And it's a small technicality, but because sugaring has become popular, some products will put sugar wax on it and they have sugar in the ingredients, but it's actually applied like conventional wax. So, that's not it. Sugaring wax, which is what we have, is basically a sugar based substance. It's like almost 90, I think it's over 98% sugar. And it's basically processed in a way that it's like tree sap and it's meant to hold together. What's really special about sugar or sugaring wax is that unlike any other sticky method of hair removal, this is formulated only to stick to dead skin, and hair has the same molecular structure as dead skin. So when you apply it by hand, not with strips and spatulas, and you apply it the opposite of waxing. So you go against the direction of hair and you remove it in the direction of hair. And because of the fact that it doesn't actually adhere to any of your live skin cells, it doesn't rip your skin off. It doesn't hurt as much. Or you tried it yourself. I think I say it doesn't hurt as much because when you're removing any hair from the follicle that has never been removed before, you're going to feel something because those follicles have a relationship with nerve endings. But if you've waxed or removed the hair with threading or anything like that, where the hairs come out fully from the follicle, you won't feel it with sugaring. It also means that you can't burn because it's applied at room temperature. And if you have any kind of sensitivities like I do, or like a lot of our customers that have PCOS, and then they have the added layer of complication with acne, you can sugar it because it's not ripping off your skin. It's just removing the hair and also giving you this amazing, beautiful exfoliation. So it's kind of like it removes the hair like waxing does, but you're not left with all this waste. And with sugar, the sugar lump that you start, removing hair with, you reuse it 8 to 10 times. So you get a lot more mileage. And then the best part is you throw it in the compost. It's biodegradable.
So you all sent me a kit and I opened the kit and I was super overwhelmed. Just because I think because they've had bad experience with at-home waxing. So you kind of walked me through the different steps, and I was hoping that we're going to record this also as a video, and I will put it up on YouTube so for those of you used to listening to the PCOS Diva podcast, you can head over to YouTube and you'll be able to see this video as well, to see the actual demo. But why don't you walk us through kind of the steps, and just show us how easy it is.
I would love to. So one thing I want to say, you're feeling overwhelmed when you open a box and there is nothing but 4 products in there. That's kind of normal. And that's what we've come to find, because sugaring is so different than any other method of hair removal. We're like, well, where's the strips? Where's the spatula? Where's like the booklet of instructions? And almost the oversimplification of it is what's overwhelming, because it's like just 4 products. So I'm going to go through each of them. And step number 1 is our clean slate. It's a micellar cleansing water, and everything in our line is designed for the most sensitive skin, because obviously me.
Yeah, and I also just wanted to point out too that, as women with PCOS, we're really trying to avoid endocrine disruptors too, and there's so many endocrine disruptors in beauty products. So that was the other thing that I liked about your products, is they're very clean.
Yeah. And thank you for mentioning that. I almost take that for granted, because I feel like at this point, with everything that we know, clean should be basic table stakes. And I don't think it is. But we are definitely as clean as you can get. I mean, I'll even go through the ingredients with you, but this product is a micellar cleansing water. We formulate and produce this one in France. It's ophthalmologist tested, dermatologist tested. It's EU certified. So we have that European Union standards that we don't have here in America because we produce it in Europe. But the reason why we have this as step 1 is whenever you're removing hair from the follicle, that pore that the follicle is coming out of is going to stay open for a little period of time. So it's really important to start the process of hair removal with a clean slate, because while that pore is open, if you have any oil or dirt, just like from ambient, from being outside, from exhaust fumes, from any of the toxins just hanging out on your skin, it's going to climb into that open pore. And that's what causes like breakouts and irritation and redness and bumps. So we always recommend start with a clean slate. What this does is it removes dirt, oil, makeup, and it also balances the pH of your skin, which a lot of cleansing products, like you'll have that overstrip the skin. And you don't want that because your skin's going to get tight and it's going to make the whole process more difficult, but it also changes the pH balance. So you want to maintain your pH balance, but like really have a clean slate. And I love this product. This has replaced my daily cleanser, toner, and eye makeup remover. And it's so super gentle. So once you have a clean slate, the second product is the detox dust. And this is a natural, all the ingredients are natural, food grade ingredients in here. So it's super clean. It's clay-based powder. And this is important because sugar is really different than wax in that, because it's water soluble, which makes it super easy to clean up. Like if you get it in your hair, you just wash it out. But it also makes it so that water creates a barrier. So in order for the sugar to really stick to the hair and the dead skin, you want us to have a really dry surface. And when you're sugaring areas like the upper lip, underarms, bikini, those are the like really sweat, like they're the areas that sweat first. And the skin's natural reaction to hair coming out of the follicle is to start to perspire. So this powder, you apply it after you've cleansed. There's also a nice essential oil blend in here that keeps kind of that clean antibacterial surface on the skin while you're sugaring. But there's like no fragrances in here. It smells amazing, but that's from essential oils. There's clay, there's chamomile powder to just kind of calm the skin during this process. So I'm going to, for example, I'm just going to show you, I'm just going to do it on my arm so everyone can see. So I spray, and for a larger area, I'll just use a towel to kind of clean it. When you're doing the face, you can actually see, I don't know if you could see there, but there's a little bit of dirt that it picks up. But if you're doing your face, just use a cotton pad. And then I'll take my powder and I'll kind of put it on and I'll work it in, because this powder is designed to absorb moisture. So the more I work it into the pores, the drier it's going to get. And step 3 is our beautiful Glow Goop Sugar Wax. And I always like to say, keep the second seal, because you don't want to leave this open for like hours and hours in like a steamy bathroom while you're sugaring, because it will absorb ambient moisture. So how you know it's ready, the consistency is really key with sugaring. Once you get the consistency, and I think that's the hardest thing for people to get, once you get the consistency, then you can literally sugar anything, anywhere in minutes. It's so easy. But because we're so wax biased, we expect it to be runny, and it's not supposed to be runny. So the way I test to see if my sugar is ready, and you could see I've already kind of done this. I'll poke a finger in it, make a dent, make a good deep dent, but there's no sugar stuck on my fingers. If this was too soft, then there'll be like stringy bits stuck to my fingers coming out. And then I know it's too soft. Maybe I want to pop it in the fridge for a couple of minutes. But this formula is adaptive. And it's going to actually warm up on your skin when you apply it. So you want to start with it a little bit hard. So what I do is it takes some effort, and then I pinch out a little bump. There you go. Yeah, you've got
so mine's the right consistency, I think.
Yeah. And then you can see like kind of really holds its shape. And that's what makes this really easy to use. It's not like runny like honey and you're not chasing it. You kind of mold it.
It
So
really just feels, I mean, it is sugar. It feels like a piece of taffy.
it
Like,
really is. And you
yeah.
can eat it. You can. My children do. I don't recommend eating it because I personally don't like to eat sugar and I don't think it's good for you, but your kids may try to sneak a bite. Okay. So when you're new to sugaring, so I'm just going to put my jar down and I'm going to just put the seal like right back on it just to cover it. So just to create like a little bit of a barrier. Now I'm doing my right arm. I don't know if you could see my hair, but guys, you know how I talked about being Persian and hairy? I actually have a full arm of hair, but you can't, it's like it's almost invisible. The hair has become so fine from sugaring. My arm is one area that I never lasered, but like there's a good bit of hair. But once you sugar regularly, the hair just grows back finer. And that's a natural biological response because your skin has to keep producing and reproducing that follicle and it gets tired. We're going to talk about that later. And the application, I'm actually going to apply it this way, is the opposite of waxing. You apply it against the direction of hair so that when you remove it, it goes in the direction of hair. And that's really important because when we wax and the hair snaps back when you rip it off, you get 30% breakage, which is why you start to see regrowth in as little as 2 weeks. And we want to get as much mileage out of our hair removal as possible. So by removing the hair in the direction of growth, then it's not breaking as much. You have less than 10% breakage with sugaring. Okay. So at first, my little lump of sugar is, you could see, quite hard. Like it's like tree sappy. And my first application is going to take a little bit of effort. So I'm going to first put it on the skin and just hold it for a second, let my skin warm it up so that when I pull it against the direction of hair like that, it goes on like this. And I pull it twice and I pull it a third time because I really want to give the sugar a second to bind to the hair and dead skin. And when you look at it, I've got a little bit more volume up here. It's sticky, but that's okay because it's just sugar. I can wash it off. And I want to have the volume up here because that's what I'm going to hold on to. And that's my leverage. So then I kind of flick it back like that. And because it's a longer one, then I'm going to press down again and flick it back again. And then that absorbs the hair and the dead skin. I don't know if you could see those little flaky bits in there, but the more I do it, the more you get to see it. And then I just roll it back up into a ball because I find it's easiest to control when it's in the shape of a ball. And I do it again. And I do 1, 2, and we call this the triple pull technique. Guys, this is a little bit of a slower process at first. And then when you do the flick, ooh, look at that fuzzy. When you do the flick, you want to stay close to the skin. And if I were to show you, my wrist is kind of doing like this 180. I'm not pulling it up. If I was pulling it up, like, hold on, let me show you what not to do. So let's say I get it on, right? And instead of pulling it back, let's say I start to pull it up. You could see that it's like pulling my skin up, and that's not going to feel good. We want to pull it back and just do it quickly. And it gets the hair. And I honestly, like, I've gotten really good at this and I can manage the consistency. So I can use this to do my whole arm. Like, no problem. This is all the wax that you need. If I was going to use like a strips and spatula type of wax, even if it was called a sugar wax, I would go through half a jar to do an arm. And this is only all I need. When you're new to it, you're only going to get about 8 or 10 uses out of it. And you'll know when it gets too soft and then it starts to look pasty and it doesn't want to hold together as much. And it just takes like a little bit of practice. And then before you know it, you're sugaring all the fuzz you don't want away. But whatever fuzz you are enjoying and you love having, um, don't sugar it. And I want to say that because it's really important for us as a brand, growing up in a time of, or like having had the experience of shame around hair, it's really important for us as a brand not to shame people into using our products, because hair is natural. Everyone has it. And we're all about hair positivity. But if there's hair that bothers you and you don't like it and you want to get rid of it, this is a tool that we like to think of as just empowerment, so that you're not at the mercy of, appointments or whatever. It's just a little something that you have to remove the hair that you don't want, but you keep the hair that you do want, and we'll celebrate that with you.
I think what I liked about this product is it solves a lot of problems with um, typical hair removal, especially for women around on their face, is shaving. And shaving, you end up with those little bumps. And a lot of women end up with like a 5 o'clock shadow at the end of the day. And that is really, it's really difficult to deal with. Uh, and also, when it comes to lasering, you often have to let that hair grow out to a certain point in order to get the laser. And what I love about the sugaring is it kind of avoids all those issues.
Yeah, so those are really good points, and you've touched on so many of them. I'd love to just elaborate on it a little bit more. I know I'm kind of playing with this. Um, And one of the things with like facial hair is, you're out in the world every single day. It's not like bikini season and like, you're exposing it when you want to and not exposing it when you don't. So, having a hair removal solution that gives you more time without hair, I think is really important. The other thing with sugaring is that you don't need to wait for the hair to be super long to sugar it. It's not like waxing. Everything you think you know about waxing doesn't apply to this. Um, with sugar, you need the whatever, as long as the hair on top of the skin is longer than what's underneath the skin, you're going to have enough leverage to get it out. And the reason why I put it that way is because hair in your underarms and bikini and your brows, they're a little bit more deeply rooted. It's just a little bit shy of an eighth of an inch of root. So you need about an eighth of an inch of length in order to be able to pull it out. And an eighth of an inch is about half a grain of rice. And you need double that for waxing. But like when you have like shorter hair, like upper lip hair, it's very shallow, like it's very superficially rooted. So even if it's like just a tiny little stubble, you're going to get it out. So as soon as you see hair, you're able to sugar it. And the more you practice your like flick and your triple pull, the easier it becomes. And shaving, I hate shaving. I really hate shaving. And I hate it because there's so much research that actually isn't in the world or isn't in the mainstream media. You have to go digging for it like we did. But shaving actually damages the skin, which is why you get those razor bumps and that irritation. Because skin is not flat. It's not like the smoothness of like this computer or this. It's not flat like this. Skin, because it grows in like tiny little microscopic scales, kind of does this on the surface. And when you're shaving, you're overstripping it. So when you overstrip the skin, it reacts by trying to recover because it's your body's barrier system, right? It's your body's first defense. So you get rapid regrowth of skin, which causes ingrown hairs, which
Mhm.
causes that redness and bumps and irritation. It's just your skin trying to protect you and itself. And a lot of people don't talk about that. And like you said, you have a 5 o'clock shadow, or best case scenario, tomorrow you have to do it again. So the first time you shave your face, looks amazing. 2, 3 weeks in, and you start to notice. I can't tell you how many people reach out to us and they're like, my skin was just over shaving. Like I couldn't stop doing it, but like I was breaking out. I was having all these skin issues. My skin was dry and patchy and scaly. And then I started sugaring. And sugaring actually helps you heal from all of those things, like the razor bumps, the scar tissue, the microscopic scar tissue that starts to build around the pores when you're shaving. By exfoliating them with sugar consistently, you actually start to heal all of that. And because you're not removing live skin cells with sugar, your skin isn't panicking. So it's not regrowing rapidly. And that's why you never get ingrown hairs with sugaring.
Mhm.
Actually, I'll tell you a story. The only time I've ever gotten an ingrown hair with sugar is in the winter months when my skin is already dry. Like I have pretty dry skin to begin with, and the hair takes so long to grow back after sugaring that like the and then the buildup of the skin is the only time that I'll see like 1 or 2 ingrown hairs. But like it's never a thing in my underarms, bikini, never on my face. And it just leaves you so smooth. I just
Mhm.
can't stop like
No,
harping on
it
the fact.
does. It does. I was really surprised, honestly. And I don't usually do this and have people come and talk about their products on the podcast, but I really do think that your product, which is really first to market in terms of like an at-home sugar kit, it's just really solves a problem for so many of us with PCOS. So you have one more step
Yes.
in the kit.
So I just want to just show here. So after I've sugared, I can just take like a damp cloth and just take off any sugar residue if there's any stickiness. And then the last product is probably one of my favorites. It's a hyaluronic acid serum we call Silk Slip. This also has cotton leaf extract in it, which acts as a protective barrier, just kind of a little very thin layer of armor against the elements to protect your skin when those pores are open. And it's a serum. It just goes on really, really beautifully. And the hyaluronic acid is plant-based. So what hyaluronic acid does is it plumps up the skin cells, which kind of starts that process of the pores closing back up and just gives you a little protection. After you remove hair from the follicle, regardless of what method you're using, typically I don't recommend using like a heavy lotion or oils. And oils, like if you're using like an olive oil, the molecules are so large that you're not going to have this issue. But most cosmetic oils have very small molecules and they are comedogenic. So they'll get into the pores that are open, clog them up, cause irritation, maybe breakouts. And this, it just like disappears on your skin. Just gives you a little bit of like nourishment, a little moisture, a little protection, and you're done. And as long as you're using something water-based after sugaring, or again, any method of like hair removal from the follicle, you should be good. Just don't use oils. But I love this serum. I use it like every day, just because it's like a really nice, nourishing moisturizer and without being like overly heavy.
So when we were talking and some of the information that you sent to me, you had some anecdotal, I guess, information based on your clients, folks that are using it, so using your sugar wax in terms of hair regrowth. So I just wanted you to share that.
Okay, are we talking about the biohack?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So so one of the symptoms of with that comes with hirsutism and PCOS, and they're not always related. Sometimes someone might have hirsutism and it's not PCOS related, but oftentimes these two things go hand in hand. And the hair growth can be really quick. It tends to be accelerated. And one of the things that I love sharing, and we've tested this now, and have learned that you can actually slow down hair growth by as much as 50%, hair regrowth. And the way you do that is that the follicle um, has a relationship with a blood vessel that feeds it and the nerve endings that support it. And when you remove the hair from the follicle, the pore starts immediately regenerating a new follicle, and that starts to grow a hair. So one of the things that we have learned is that when you remove hair from the follicle, while it's in the early stages of the anagen hair growth phase, and you do it a few times consecutively, the biology of the skin changes and the follicle becomes a lot weaker. And the skin is not as adamant about reproducing a follicle at the same rate as it was doing before, because now it's been kind of depleted of its energy a few times. So one of the things I love recommending is when you start sugaring, do it when you sugar, keep an eye on it a week or two, maximum 3 weeks later. As soon as you see hair again, do it again. And you do that in 3 consecutive cycles, and you will notice that the hair is growing back slower and finer. And I think for those people who have, that coarser hair on the face or wherever that you don't want to see it, it can be a game changer, just like slowing that down, giving yourself more time between sugaring sessions.
Yeah, I think a lot of a lot of ladies listening would love that to happen. I know that that's been great for me in terms of like keeping on top of like my at-home lasering. That has really helped, but I don't, I'm just lasering my chin area. I am going to try the sugar on other areas and see how that goes. But I've loved like even just those finer hairs on your face. It's done a wonderful job. And you're right, it gives you kind of like a facial spa glow afterwards.
Yeah,
So I
you're
love the
moving.
product. I love the product, and I really just wanted you to come on and sort of demystify first, educate, demystify, um, and it's just something to add to your PCOS toolbox.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. And, that's why we do what we do. Like, I grew up, having to in the battle of the fuzz. And if I can do something to just save other women, other girls from going through, like, oh my God, what I went through, that like really like powerless feeling of like, why is this one thing so hard? That's really why I do what I do. It's to save other people from having to go through that.
Yeah, it's wanting to be what's the expression, be kind of like a manual, like your experience being a manual for someone else's problems. And that's what you're doing, and it's awesome. So thank you, Salome. You and also you generously offered to give us a coupon code. So
Yes,
can you tell us like where to find sugar wax and give us the coupon code?
absolutely. So, Sugar Wax is available on our website, sugarsugarwax.com. We are also on Amazon. We are also on Urban Outfitters. I'm pretty sure on urbanoutfitters.com. I'm not sure if we're in Canada, but we are in Canada on Amazon. But the coupon code I have for you guys today is only for our website, and it is PCOS Diva 15. So all caps PCOS Diva, and then the number 15, and you get 15% off your order. And, we are here to help and support you. And I know it can be a different way of doing things. So we got tons of videos on our YouTube. We do tutorials. I love doing these demos. And if you're stuck and you're like, I can't get this to work for me, or whatever you're having trouble with, just shoot us an email and we're happy to hop on a phone, a call, a Zoom, FaceTime, whatever we can do to make your life better. We're here for it.
That's so wonderful. Thank you for, and I know that being a business owner myself, it's hard. It's hard to, and there's so many roadblocks that kind of, come along your path as you're trying to help women. And so, I appreciate you just keeping, traveling on your journeys. I know it was difficult to come up with this formula, and so thank you.
Well, thank you for saying that. And, as an entrepreneur, it is really hard because there's so many variables. There's so much up and down. But I think the thing that has really kept me on this path has been when I hear from our customers and they say, like, thank God for this. Or, I was at an event and I met someone with PCOS, and she had a hard time with her facial hair, and I just sugared her in a couple of minutes and she started crying, and I knew I had made a difference.
Yeah.
And it's because I know I'm making a difference that helps me stay in it. But thank you for acknowledging the journey, because it's hard.
I know. Well, and everybody on your PCOS, healing PCOS journey listening, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Salome, for your time and your wonderful demo. And I look forward to being with you all again very soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Amy. It's been so much fun chatting with you.
Thank you, Salome, and we'll see you all very soon. Bye-bye. Well, that wraps up our podcast today. Thank you so much for joining us on the PCOS Diva podcast. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you liked this episode, remember to subscribe to PCOS Diva on iTunes or wherever else you may be listening to this show. And if you have a minute, please leave me a quick review on iTunes, because I love to hear from you. If you think someone else might benefit from this free podcast, please take a minute to share it with a friend or family member so she can benefit from it too. And don't forget to sign up for my free weekly newsletter. Just enter your email at PCOSDiva.com to get instant access and make sure you never miss a future podcast. This is Amy Medling, wishing you good health. Bye-bye.